Algebraic notation, or AN, is a method for recording and describing the moves in a game of chess. It is based on a system of coordinates to uniquely identify each square on the chessboard. It is now standard among all chess organizations and most books, magazines, and newspapers. In English-speaking countries, the parallel method of descriptive notation was generally used in chess publications until about 1980. Some older players still use descriptive notation, but it is no longer recognized by FIDE. Algebraic notation exists in various forms and languages and is based on a system developed by Philipp Stamma. Stamma used the modern names of the squares, but he used P for pawn moves and the original file of a piece, but through H, instead of the initial letter of the piece name. This article describes standard algebraic notation, SAN, required by FIDE. Each square of the chessboard is identified by a unique coordinate pair, a letter and a number. The vertical columns of squares, called files, are labeled through H from white's left, the queen side, to right, the king side. The horizontal rows of squares, called ranks, are numbered 1 to 8 starting from white's side of the board. Thus each square has a unique identification, a file letter followed by rank number. For example, white's king starts the game on square E1, black's knight on B8 can move to open squares A6 or C6. Each piece type, other than pawns, is identified by an uppercase letter. English-speaking players use the letters K for king, Q for queen, R for rook, B for bishop, and N for knight, since K is already used. S, from the German Springer, was also used for the knight in the early days of algebraic notation and is still used in some chess problems, where N stands for the knight rider, a popular fairy chess piece. Players who speak other languages may employ different letters. For example, French-speaking players use F for bishop, from faux. In chess literature, especially that intended for an international audience, the language-specific letters are often replaced by universal icons for the pieces. For example, an F3 is represented as F3. This style is known as Figurine algebraic notation. Pawns are not identified by uppercase letters, but rather by the absence of one. Distinguishing between pawns is not necessary for recording moves, since only one pawn can move to a given square. Pawn captures are an exception and indicated differently as explained below. Each move of a piece is indicated by the piece's uppercase letter, plus the coordinate of the destination square. For example, B5, move a bishop to E5, and F3, move a knight to A3. For pawn moves, a letter indicating pawn is not used, only the destination square is given. For example, C5, move a pawn to C5. When a piece makes a capture, an X is inserted immediately before the destination square. For example, B5, bishop captures the piece on E5. When a pawn makes a capture, the file from which the pawn departed is used to identify the pawn. For example, EXD5, pawn on the E file captures the piece on D5. A colon, smiley face, is sometimes used instead of X, either in the same place the X would go, BE5, or at the end, B5, but using it is not allowed by FIDE rules. In-passant captures are indicated by specifying the capturing pawn's file of departure, the X, the destination square, not the square of the captured pawn, and, optionally, the suffix EP indicating the capture was in-passant. For example, EXD6E.P. Some texts, such as the Encyclopedia of Chess Openings, omit any indication that a capture has been made. For example, B5 instead of B5, add 6 instead of EXD6 or EXD6E.P. When it is unambiguous to do so, a pawn capture is sometimes described by specifying only the files involved, EXD or ED, but such description is not allowed by FIDE rules. These shortened forms are sometimes called minimal or abbreviated algebraic notation. When two, or more, identical pieces can move to the same square, the moving piece is uniquely identified by specifying the piece's letter, followed by, in descending order of preference, the file of departure, if they differ, or the rank of departure, if the files are the same but the ranks differ, or both the file and rank of departure, if neither alone is sufficient to identify the piece, which occurs only in rare cases where one or more pawns have promoted, resulting in a player having 3 or more identical pieces able to reach the same square. For example, in the diagram, BB8 would be ambiguous, as either of the bishops on A7 and D6 could legally move to B8. The move of the D6 bishop is therefore specified as BDB8, indicating that it was the bishop on the d file which moved. Although they could also be differentiated by their ranks, the file letter takes precedence. For the black rooks both on the 8th rank, both could potentially move to f8, so the move of the d8 rook to f8 is disambiguated as rdf8. For the white rooks both on the f file which could both move to a3, it is necessary to provide the rank of the moving piece, i.e., r1 to 3. In the case of the white queen on h4 moving to e1, neither the rank nor file alone are sufficient to disambiguate from the other white queens. As such, this move is written qh4a1. As above, an x can be inserted to indicate a capture. For example, if the final case were a capture, it would be written as qh4xe1. When a pawn moves to the last rank and promotes, the piece promoted to is indicated at the end of the move notation. For example, e8q, promoting to queen. Sometimes an equal sign or parentheses are used, e8 equals q or e8, q, but neither format is a FIDE standard. In portable game notation, PGN, pawn promotion is always indicated using the equal sign format, e8 equals q. In older books, pawn promotions can be found using a / e8/q. In FIDE laws of chess, an equal sign with parentheses, equal sign is used to write the offer of a draw on the score sheet next to a move, but this is not part of algebraic notation. Castling is indicated by the special notations 0 to 0, for kingside castling, and 0-0-0, queenside castling. While the FIDE laws of chess uses the digit 0, 0 to 0 and 0-0-0, PGN requires the uppercase letter O, O and OO. A move that places the opponent's king in check usually has the symbol plus appended. Alternatively, sometimes a dagger, or the abbreviation CH is used. Double check is commonly indicated the same as check, but is sometimes represented specially as DBLCH, or in older books as ++. Some publications indicate a discovered check with an abbreviation such as DISCH. The Encyclopedia of Chess Openings omits any indication of check. Checkmate at the completion of moves can be represented by the symbol hashtag. Some use ++ instead, but the USCF recommends hashtag. The word mate is commonly used instead. Occasionally the double dagger is seen. A checkmate is represented by is not equal to, the not equal sign, in the Mac OS chess application. In Russia and ex-USSR, where captures are indicated by : checkmate can also be represented by x, or times. The notation 1 to 0 at the completion of moves indicates that white won, 0 to 1 indicates that black won, and 1/2 indicates a draw. In case of forfeit, scores 0 to 0, 1/2 0 and 0 1/2 are also possible. If players lost by default, results are +//+ or //. Often there is no indication regarding how a player won or lost, other than checkmate, see above, so simply 1 to 0 or 0 to 1 may be written to show that one player resigned or lost due to time control or forfeit. Similarly, there is more than one way for a game to end in a draw. Sometimes direct information is given by the words white resigns or black resigns, though this is not considered part of the notation but rather a return to the surrounding narrative text. A game or series of moves is generally written in one of two ways. In two columns, as white/black pairs, preceded by the move number and a period. 1. E4 E5. 2. NF3 and C6. 3. BB5 A6. Horizontally. 1. E4 E5 2. NF3 and C6 3. BB5 A6 moves may be interspersed with commentary, annotations. When the game score resumes with a black move, an ellipsis fills the position of the white move. For example, 1. E4 E5 2. NF3. White attacks the black e-pawn. 2. NC6. Black defends and develops simultaneously. 3. BB5. White plays the Ruy Lopez. 3. A6. Black elects Morphy's defense. Descriptive notation was usual in the Middle Ages in Europe. A form of algebraic chess notation that seems to have been borrowed from Muslim chess, however, appeared in Europe in a 12th century manuscript referred to as MS Paris 1173 francs, pages. The files run from A to H, just as they do in the current standard algebraic notation. The ranks, however, are also designated by letters, with the exception of the 8th rank which is distinct because it has no letter. The ranks are lettered in reverse, from the 7th to the 1st, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. Another system of notation using only letters appears in a book of medieval chess. Rechenmeister Jacob Goebbels Schachbelspiel of 1520. Algebraic notation is described in 1847 by Howard Staunton in his book The Chess Player's Handbook. Staunton credits the idea to German authors, and in particular to Alexander, Janisch, and the Handbuch. The table contains names for all the pieces as well as the words for chess, check, and checkmate in several languages. NB. Alfil is a chess-specific loanword from Arabic which has lost its original meaning of elephant in the European languages that use it for the piece called bishop in English. Besides the FIDE standard, or short, algebraic notation, SAN, already described, several similar systems are in use for their own particular advantages. Figurine algebraic notation, or FAN, is a widely used variation of algebraic notation which substitutes a piece symbol for the letter representing a piece. For example, C6 in place of NC6, pawns are unlabeled, just like in regular algebraic notation. This enables moves to be read independent of language. The Unicode miscellaneous symbol set includes all the symbols necessary for FAN. In order to display or print these symbols, one has to have one or more fonts with good Unicode support installed on the computer that the web page, or word processor document, etc., uses. Some computer programs, and people, use a variant of algebraic chess notation termed long algebraic notation or fully expanded algebraic notation. In long algebraic notation, moves specify both the starting and ending squares. Sometimes it is separated by a hyphen, contrary to FIDE rules, for example, E2 E4 or in B1 C3 with hyphen. Captures are still indicated using X, RD3 X D7. The long notation takes more space and thus is not as commonly used. However, it has the advantage of clarity, particularly for less skilled players or players learning the game. Some books using primarily short algebraic notation use the long notation instead of the disambiguation forms described earlier. A form of long algebraic notation, without piece names, is also notably used by the Universal Chess Interface, UCI, standard, which is a common way for graphical chess programs to communicate with chess engines, example for AI. In international correspondence chess, the use of algebraic notation may cause confusion, since different languages employ different names, and therefore different letters, for the pieces, hence the standard for transmitting moves in this form of chess is ICCF numeric notation. In recent years, the majority of correspondence games have been played on online servers rather than by email or post, leading to a decline in the use of ICCF numeric notation. Chess games are often stored in computer files using portable game notation, PGN, which uses algebraic chess notation as well as additional markings to codify a game. As mentioned, PGN requires uppercase letter O to represent castling, e.g. O, while the FIDE handbook uses digit 0, 0 to 0. Though not technically a part of algebraic notation, the following are some common symbols frequently used by annotators, for example in publications Chess Informant and Encyclopedia of Chess Openings, to give evaluative comment on a move or position. On moves: an excellent move, a particularly good, and usually surprising, move, a bad move, a mistake, a blunder, an interesting move that may not be best, a dubious move or move that may turn out to be bad, a better move than the one played, the only reasonable move, or the only move available, TN, or N, a theoretical novelty on positions, equal chances for both players, plus/equals, or, white has a slight plus, equals/plus, or, black has a slight plus, plus/, or plus or minus, white has a clear plus, /plus, or, black has a clear plus, plus white has a winning advantage, plus black has a winning advantage. Infinity unclear whether either side has an advantage. Equals/infinity whoever is down in material has compensation for it. The symbol chosen is simply appended to the end of the move notation. For example, 1.d4a5, 2.dex5f6 3.e4, nc6 4.bc4 plus /.